about way cash crisis works.
Talking about Venezuela once again.
Systemic important banks. They removed the one factor you do this thing right called monetary awareness. Hey there, hope all is well. Back at you today with some more RT News updates. And as you tell in today's title, the American dream depends upon the zip code. I'm going to be covering a recent survey done by a merger of the Consensus Bureau as well as some other external studies that has shown that depending upon where you grow up in this country will determine your long-term outcome as to whether or not you'll be able to achieve the so-called American dream. And so I'm going to share a couple articles with the idea that the American dream may not be as possible as a lot of people may think, based upon demographics as well as the income inequality as well as the current economic situation we're facing here in this country as well as around the world. But before I dive into today's articles, as always,
it's the next recession.
Recession will be.
Will be a recession.
We're going to hit a recession.
The date of the next recession.
A U.S.-only recession typically lasts 8 to 10 months, but a lot of things about this particular one have not been typical. So,
a crash is coming. Now, whether it's 6 months from now, 12 months, 36 months, no one knows.
I go to bed every night, I dream of another recession. If you know what to do, if you have the right plan to set up, you can make a lot of money from this.
So not even factoring in the idea that a market correction or a slowdown or recession or something of that nature is coming soon if it's not already unfolding. Now we have issues such as the idea of income inequality as well as the idea that a lot of Americans as well as those that have come to this country all came originally for the idea of living the American dream. But especially since the Great Recession has come into play, the American dream has seemed to be more of a far-reached pipe dream than anything else because of the idea that cost of living goes up and the wages overall has not really improved to keep up with that. Inflation has spiked up in a variety of areas, not to mention from the investment assets and things of that nature. But on the main street where it matters most people aren't able to say that they are actually working towards their dream if they're even able to define that. So today I want to share a couple articles with you, more importantly about this visual aid here, and link all that down below so that you can take the time to dive more into it for yourself. Just want to scan the surface on a couple articles and let you do the rest for yourself. And then at the very end, share my thoughts even more. So let's dive into the very first one. So here's an article out of NPR, and it says the American dream is harder to find in some neighborhoods. And so this is a excerpt from an economist at Harvard. And to give you an idea what's going on here, I'm going to thumb through it, but more importantly, you'll find it down below. And it says, does the neighborhood you grow up in determine how far you move up in the economic ladder? It says a new online data tool being made public on Monday finds a strong correlation between where people are raised and their chances of achieving the American dream. Harvard University economist Raj Chetty has been working with a team of researchers on this tool, the first of its kind because it marries the U.S. Census Bureau data with data from the Internal Revenue Service. It says, and the findings are changing how researchers think about economic mobility. It says people born in the 1940s or 50s were virtually guaranteed to achieve the American dream or earning more than their parents did, Chetty says, but that's not the case anymore. Quote, you see that kids turning 30 today who were born in the mid-1980s, only 50% of them go on to earn more than their parents did. Scrolling on some more, what was most notable out of this short excerpt here, because it goes more in depth into a study down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and how they're actually using this data to help resolve this issue according to their measurements. But it says, Chetty found that if a person moves out of a neighborhood with worse prospects into a neighborhood with better outlooks, that moves increases the lifetime earnings for low-income children by an average of $200,000. It says, of course, moving a lot of people is impractical, so researchers are instead trying to help low-performing areas improve. And then that goes into more details here about what's happening down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and the idea that they're looking to move some of the kids from the inner city and merge them with other kids, just more so in the suburban areas. So if you're interested, feel free to read for yourself. So another article I came across that I thought was worthy of mentioning, and it says a third of Latinos feel the dream or the American dream of home ownership, financial security is disappearing, said a survey. And they give you an idea what's going on here. It says the study found that the majority of Latinos carry more type of debt. Says 63% of Latinos have a mortgage with an average debt of $181,000. Says according to the study, many families are worried about paying down the debt given their desire to play an active role in preparing children for future success. Says more than a third of Latinos, or 38%, believe the American dream is disappearing. Interesting, the study found that 75% of those who selected home ownership as a part of the American dream are confident that they will one day own a home if they do not already. So only 75% out of the people surveyed, think that they actually own a home as a part of the American dream protocol. Next article here says the American dream is fading. A third of those surveyed believe. And it says in a new survey, more than 80% of Americans who were asked to define the American dream said financial security for themselves and their family. It says, but there must be a lot of pessimism out there because more than half said that they believe that dream is unattainable. And so it says a survey commissioned by life insurance company Mass Mutual covered more than 3,200 adults nationwide. Quote, Americans believe financial security is at the core of the American dream. So not only was years ago the idea of owning a home, but yet it looks like financial security is the primary topic now because of the idea of people being saturated with debt and not enough disposable income, more than likely. It says at the core of the American dream, but it is alarming that so many think it is beyond their reach. And so this right here plays into the visual aid I want to share with you guys from opportunityatlas.org. And more importantly, I want you to take the time to scroll through your areas or whatnot, or family and friends that you might know, to see where they currently stand. But as soon as you go into the map, it gives you an idea of how to get started in 3 easy steps. It says where, what, and who. So you can search by city, by outcome, or by demographic. And so just basically to scroll on it, as you see, it's very interactive. And it says here, basically, all these colors give you an idea of where the hot spots are, or the areas that are the most impoverished. And so here, the lowest income owners, which according to Census Bureau is those that make less than $23,000 a year. And then the highest is, of course, those that make over $56,000 according to the Internal Revenue and the Census Bureau. But as you see, the southern area, the southern belt of our country here is heavily red. There's a much higher population of African American community there. And so here we have all these red states down here. And then, of course, up here, up in the Midwest area, majority blue with a little red sprinkled in throughout. And then, of course, we have the West Coast area, which we know cost of living is extremely expensive. So I'm surprised to see it not being red over here, but more orange. But to give you an idea, just touch on a city. So here in Detroit, the average household income is $28,000. If we go down to somewhere in Georgia, Macon, Georgia, is $25,000. If we go over to Texas somewhere, it's $40,000. If we go up to North Dakota, it's $48,000. If we go over to Fresno, it's $30,000. So as you can see, as you go throughout, it gives you an idea as to the average income there. And then if you scroll on it, it goes even further and give you a better layout of the actual breakdown of the city. In regards to me here in the Metro Detroit area, it's extremely red around various cities surrounding me and whatnot. So here we have just more details here. So thought I would just take a minute to share with you what's happening in the news in reference to the idea that your zip code plays a part in your long-term outcome, according to this study here. But more importantly, what's worth mentioning is the fact that at the beginning of this video, I mentioned how the whole idea of a recession or market correction is coming. And so not only are those that are of financial means, I'm sure, concerned about preserving their wealth, those that have worked their entire lives for pensions as all types of retirement vehicles. So not only are they concerned about that, but then we have majority of the population, those that probably fall at or below the median household income range, are the ones that are in the most trouble, because they are the ones that are struggling on the day-to-day basis here with just basically meeting their daily needs. And so you factor in all the tensions amongst those who've put in work and those who have not had the chance to put in work. It's going to spell a lot of problems down the line, because the majority of Main Street is not a part of this economic expansion we're supposed to be in now, with all these favorable numbers being given by the government at this current stage. So it's just a matter of time before data like this becomes more widespread and more people begin to wake up to the reality that the American dream is no longer what it used to be. And it's good to say the younger generation will be the primary victims of it, because they may not even have the opportunity to dream for a better life, factor in the student debts and things of that nature. So just want to take a minute to share with you this visual aid here. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. Let me know about your thoughts in reference to the zip code possibly playing a role in your future outcome. So other than that, look forward to bringing more news and updates. See you later.